We all know there is a connection between eating and health, but Kelly Dorfman, nutritionist and author of the book, What's Eating Your Child, says it goes beyond the obvious. Kelly Dorfman joins us in the studio to talk more about this connection. You can see her book right there, What's Eating Your Child. A great name for the book, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
So how did you come up with a book like this?
Well, I've always been a nutrition detective because I think there's a lot more power in nutrition than most people know. Most people say, oh, you are what you eat, but they don't really know the details of what that means.
Right.
And I wanted them to know what that was, so I wrote the book like a detective novel. So each chapter is a true story, and it tells you we solved the case and what you can do to solve your own case.
Well, what do you think is like the most surprising thing that parents find out about what their kids are eating?
I think it's how much is related to nutrition. Like most people think about obesity being related to nutrition, but they don't think about headaches and stomach aches and reflux and behavior problems and mood issues and all the things that can be related to nutrition.
Do you think typically the parents will go to the doctor, you know, they probably exhaust all of their efforts first before they figure out that it's actually the food?
And that's what I would like to change and put that at the beginning of the list.
Okay.
It's an expensive proposition to exhaust all the medical options first, especially when it's very simple.
Well, show me some examples, because then I want you to help us figure out how we can be our own detectives.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so what is this an example of right here?
All right, so this is an example of a lunch that was eaten by a young girl that came to my practice who had a lot of constipation.
Okay.
And you can see it's a cheese sandwich, it's some flavored yogurt and some chips, and she was somewhat of a picky eater, as you can see. We now know from research that in constipation, which is what she had, there's too many dairy products being consumed in many cases. So we didn't want to completely rip up her diet because she was picky. So we just changed it slightly. We gave her whole wheat bread. We used a turkey instead of just cheese and a little bit of cheese.
So the protein in there.
Yeah, there's still protein, but it's not all dairy related because that can be constipating in some people. We use vegetable chips instead of corn chips, so there's a little bit of fiber there, and we switched the yogurt, again, more dairy, into some fruit.
Now, was this an easy switch? I mean, especially if you have a picky eater and this is all they're eating, you know, do you have to try a couple of things first, or just keep searching until you get it right? Or?
Well, I think that people get intimidated by picky eaters a lot, and there's a way that...
And we let them win, huh?
Well, you can't win a fight with a picky eater, but you can't give up either. I think so many people have just given up. You just have to sort of hold a standard where you're calm about what you expect them to do. You want them to put their shoes on before they go outside, and you want them to eat vegetables. It's a very normal thing to expect of children.
Right. Well, and you were saying that in your book you're sort of a detective, so I'm just fascinated by it. What have you found for maybe kids that have a lot of ear infections? What are they eating too much of?
Well, usually detective work breaks down into one of two categories. The first category is, are you eating something that's bothering you? And the second is, are you missing something that could help you? In ear infections, it's mostly something that's bothering you, and it's usually, again, dairy products or soy reactions.
Okay. What about, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, because I know it's all in the book, but I really want to try. What if you think your child's having behavioral problems? The first thing that comes to my mind is sugar.
Yes, and that's, well, let's talk about sugar since you brought that up. There's been a lot of research about sugar and confusion about it, because what the research actually finds is there's a small group of kids that react badly to it. And the rest of the kids seem to be okay. Not that it's good for you, but they don't have terrible behavior reactions. So the question really is your child fall in that category? What I tell parents to do, to see, is to practice being Lent. You know, for 2 weeks, you go off sugar and see what kind of child you have.
So this is a great book for people to purchase if they have kids and there's some kind of, maybe even for adults too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
If there's some kind of problems going on, try this first before you go to the doctors and do all of these things, or maybe try it in conjunction with.
Right, other than the ear infections and the growth problems, most of the problems in the book really do apply to adults too.
Right.
And of course the kids come from the adults. The apples don't fall far from the tree.
That's true.
So they have to look up and see where some of the issues are coming from.